I'm Robert Sinclair, the Chief Executive of the Association of Mortgage Intermediaries. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about the regulatory landscape and my views of the new build market for the rest of 2020 and into 2021. I think where we are at present in terms of the landscape that we live in today is a very different one from the one we would have expected at the start of the year. Lenders have been very much stuck from an administrative perspective, dealing with the people who've taken payment deferment. What we also have, of course, is furlough now beginning to end, and there are those who are going to unfortunately lose their jobs as part of that process, and we've got to think very carefully about how we deal with all of that. What the FCA has been really focused on, however, has been the consumer, and indeed from a consumer perspective, I think the FCA has had a stunning crisis. And what we have seen is the implementation of what they call the cheapest rule. That's a rule that says that if you're not recommending the cheapest mortgage to the customer from those for which they're eligible, then you have to explain that to the customer and document why on file. What we have seen also is the FCA defer two major consultations, one on operational resilience and one on open finance. They deferred those in April, and they are now not looking for responses from those until October, which means that any changes that will happen in that marketplace will not come until 2021. They have been surveying firms on firms' financial resilience, and most directly authorised firms and networks have had to respond to the FCA over the last few months to set out their profitability and cash flow and issues that they may see coming over the hill with regard to their financial position. There's also a new consultation out on vulnerability, which is exceptionally important in that number of consumers, because of illness, job loss, or other factors, might be deemed to be vulnerable at this point. What we also have, of course, is issues now around conduct risk, which are escalating given where we are in the regulatory cycle and the economic cycle. I think it's essentially critical that you talk to all of your existing customers on a regular basis. Don't see this as a nice to do, but in fact a need to do in order to demonstrate that you're close and adding value continually. One of the other conduct risk areas that the regulator is becoming increasingly concerned about is the overall indebtedness of consumers. And they're particularly looking at all people involved in discussing with customers, not just to understand where they might be in their unsecured or credit card debt, but also where they may have been borrowing from families or lending to other parts of their extended family. What I also say is that from a conduct risk perspective, never has this crisis demonstrated more the importance of protection. And consumers are probably much more open to having that discussion now. The last part of this from a conduct risk perspective is that we make sure that your firms are around next year and the year after. And therefore, I think we're going to have quite a good cash flow period against all expectations in Q4 of this year and Q1 next year. And I would recommend that all firms try to put some money away for what I do see as being a much tougher period in the second half of 2021 for various reasons, which I'll come to. I think part of that is around this whole new build arena. And one of the things that I think everybody needs to understand is that as far as Help to Buy is concerned, Homes England do think that is the advisor responsibility for that recommendation that the customer takes Help to Buy. It doesn't sit with the builder, it doesn't sit with the lender. They view that choice of Help to Buy as being very much part of the discussion that should go on with the broker. So the broker talks to the customer whether they should be buying that 4-bedroom house with Help to Buy, or whether that 3-bedroom semi might actually be a better option for them without Help to Buy. Of course, we are going to see significant changes to the Help to Buy scheme as we transition through the next few weeks and months. The existing scheme is effectively coming to a close now, with no new applications being accepted. So there has to be realistic discussions about completion dates with consumers and builders, and the broker is a core part of trying to make sure that all parties can stick to the contracts that they make there. One of the things that's causing a blockage in this system is the fact that the existing scheme is very much paper-based, and Homes England are introducing a new computer system in order to deal with the new regional scheme, which has got significant value variations. The other part of this in relation to new build is, do we still believe that new build should have the premium that it's got going forwards in a world where we might see more property price volatility? So new build is not going to be a simple marketplace going forward into 2021, but still, of course, a great option for many consumers as they want to get on the housing ladder or progress up the housing ladder. In closing, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what I see as the final issues for 2020 and into 2021. I think government intervention has been unparalleled in terms of their ability to throw money into the market, and I think it will remain unprecedented. One of the biggest challenges, of course, we are going to have as intermediaries is knowing your lender and who really wants to or can lend. The concern is not there amongst lenders with regard to house prices in the same way, but it's about their capacity to process talk to you very briefly about where we are in the mortgage prisoner journey, which is that third-party administrators are now due to write to all of the prisoners that they identify during October and November in order to deal with as many of these people as we can. I'm also aware that there are issues in the professional indemnity insurance market for many firms, and we are commencing discussions with the insurance firms and the SCA in order to see what we can do in order to minimise some of the issues that I know firms are having with increases in premiums, increases in excess, and also exclusions from certain parts of business lines. But I would say to you, as we come out into the latter part of 2020 and into 2021, that consumers really need you, because advice is the key in what is going to be a complex and volatile marketplace. You need to keep talking to customers on a regular basis and stay front of mind as being the only place that they should go and talk to get advice.